Today we just have a discussion with respect to various terminology that are used with respect to the industries. Actually, there are basically four terms: organization, industry, company, and factory. Normally, there may be some confusion also there. What is organization? What is industry? What is factory? What is company? Is there any difference between these terminology, or are they one and the same? So, in present topic, we would like to have clarification about these terminology. To start with the organization. See, organization is a general term. Organization is an entity with a specific scope and the territory in which certain activities includes input, process, and output. So these are the three important things in any organization, whether be it is a service sector or it is a manufacturing sector. So organization means it is an entity. Within this entity, I am not talking about the legal entity or not, it is an entity, means that exists. And that has certain structure, that structure includes its territory and it also should have a scope under which what are the activities they are performing. So that way you see anything, any activity, any company or industry or factory, everything is an organization. So organization is a very broad term which will encapsulate almost all type of the entities with respect to the industry or factory or the companies. So that is a general term. Okay, and it may be a profitable or a non-profitable, it may be commercial or it may be a non-governmental organizations or service oriented, whatever. Okay, so now coming back to other terminology like industry, factory and company. See again here when we talk about the industry, it is again a bigger or a larger entity or a larger scope we have. So before we talk about the entity, we just talk about the factory. What is the factory? And factory is any a manufacturing unit, which has a fixed target of manufacturing certain items under a roof, which has required manpower, machinery, and also a building. Here the building means under a roof particular area, these activities are covered, either with the power or without the power. And here when we are talking about the factory, there is also a Factories Act is there, 1948 Act. So this, whatever the entities that are covered under the 1948 Factories Act, they are considered the factories. Okay, in the factories, the main important thing is that it is a manufacturing a particular product, a component. It may be a secondary or it may be a ancillary to some of the machineries. Whatever the way they wanted to produce, there are the manufacturing activity. So, with respect to the companies, company is established under the Companies Act. So company has certain structures, certain requirements. Again, it is a business entity, and company is generally called a legal entity also once it is registered under the Companies Act. So whether can we say factory is also an industry or a company is also an industry? Here now when we come back to the industry encapsulates all these factories and industry and companies also. A group of companies together can be called as an industry. But here only requirement is that they are similar activities. Like we say the even educational industry we call, film industry we call, textile industry, food industry. Means it is not a single factory but multiple factories are there or multiple companies are there together, we term that as an industry. And to come back to the industry and its regulation, there is a government of India has passed an act, Industrial Development and Regulator Act 1951. IDRA 1951 talks about what is the industry and what are the scheduled industries and what are the do's and don'ts for those industries. So these are the things. So here the industry is again a group of companies or group of factories having a similar or identical activities going on. While a factory is limited to a particular product, and again company is a business activity based on the company's acts and regulations where it will register for a particular scope of the work. Okay, so basically if we consider the industry, factory and company, these are all the general definitions. There are otherwise we don't have to really make so much distinction between all the three, because basically all the three are the economic process activities which will help in developing the economy of the nation as well as the economy of a society. Okay, so in brief, whatever I said is that industry is under the it is covered, schedule is covered under 1951 IRDA Act, while Factories Act is covered under 1948 and Companies Act is in 1956. Again, it is superseded by Act 2030. Okay, and industry has a larger scope of objectives and activities. A group of factories or companies, they comprise in an industry, and a factory is specific to a manufacturing activity with infrastructure like whatever the machinery, men and buildings. And company is a legal activity, is a legal entity which is required to establish under certain terms and conditions and regulations as per the Company Act. Industry has a four kinds. We can even classify the type of industries: the primary, secondary, tertiary, or quaternary. The primary industry is anything that material comes out of the earth, including the agriculture, iron ore. These are all the primary production. So an industry involved in these things will come under the industry. Similarly, it may be in the secondary region where the normal manufacturing activity also can be there, like manufacturing the tires and manufacturing the processed foods, manufacturing of the shoes or whatever. Similarly, the tertiary industry is mainly for the service or associated activities. Here, the service means that including all other things which are complementary to get the things done on a production process, like a hotel industry. In a hotel industry, what do you have? You have a food items which is a primary and a secondary. And serving that food to a particular person is again a service. That comes under the tertiary. Okay, and actually earlier even the education everything was also considered as a service. Now that has a specific or a special classification called the quaternary, where the knowledge based activity such as education is considered as a quaternary. So when a group of such organizations or association, I mean activities done by companies, they all come together, we call them as an industry. That is the main important thing what we call about the industry. And already as discussed, the factory, it decides on which product they wanted to move and how they wanted to do it, what is the machinery required and what are the, all this, even the factory is basically a profit motive. In industry, it may be a profit motive, it may not be profit motive. But mostly again, it also has certain objectives. Coming back to the companies, company is again a business entity, except for certain things where the company is established for a non-profit motto. Otherwise, these are all the business and economic activities. Okay. I hope the difference between the industry, factory, and company are clear. And all anything that comes into the entity is an organization. Organization is on a whole any entity you can call it an organization. Okay. I think I have made this particular thing very clear. If you have